Hi, this is Gurasi Singh, and you're listening to my Thick Accent podcast. So, I come from a culture where if you need help or ask someone for directions or anything, not just that person, but two others will take 20 seconds out of their time to speak to you. In fact, one of them will even try their best to drop you at your destination. But at the same time, it's also the culture where any decision must be made considering the social ramifications that the decision could have. And we use the phrase log kya kahenge, which translates to what will people say. And just like these, there are many instances in the collectivistic society like India that were instilled in us growing up, which in an individualistic society like Canada act as a hindrance surviving or even getting a job. And my guest today is here to share how the local cultural understanding helped her in landing a job. She moved to Canada in 2018 with her family from Delhi with a decade of experience in the media and advertising industry. She worked with TV channels like Sony, Star, Times of India, and Hotstar, but now she works as account manager with Walmart Connect in Canada. Let's hear more from her about her journey from updating the culture to still keeping intact the things she nurtured. Please welcome Nidhi Mehra.
Hi, Gurasis. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I guess you did a good snapshot about my journey, but I would still talk a little bit about it. So, as you correctly said, I moved to Canada from India in the year 2018 with a
Mhm.
decade of experience in media sales and account management. When I moved here, pretty confident, I would say overconfident, maybe. The reason being, whatever interviews I took in India, I think I cleared 90% of those. So I never thought I needed help as far as interviews are concerned. My resume and everything was very strong from the very beginning. So I never had any problem in getting interviews. But as I said, that I was overconfident. I could not, clear interviews as far as my own industry is concerned. But I could land jobs in all the different sorts of agents, industries, be it nonprofit, be it customer service kind of roles, be it logistics industry, tech startup, and all that. So, yeah, that's how I spent the first 3 years in Canada. Sometimes there was a time when I was jobless, I lost jobs. All of that happened. And then finally, when I took networking really seriously and I got down and just put my mind to it that I want to make it happen, that's when I landed a job in my own field. And now there has been no looking back since then.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you for that brief intro about you. I love that. So, Nidhi, before we dive deeper into the cultural aspect of things or even the whole job journey, I want to take you back to the time you spent in Delhi. Please share with us how was it like growing up there, or how all that shaped you into the person you are today.
Uh, that's a very interesting question, and kind of looking back at your life and how you were kind of grown up. So, I belong to a Punjabi family, and two brothers, me, my parents, we lived together, and from the very beginning, it's a very middle class family. So, we don't have any inheritance or money. It's just our education that we depend on. You study hard, and then you stand on your own feet, figure out and do things. And that's how most middle class families are back in India.
Yeah.
That's how I was. uh, and then, of course, doing my schooling from Delhi, then college. Then I was from the very beginning very intrigued about advertising,
Hmm.
uh, and also because I was very, very outgoing, very, very confident. I wanted to get into sales from the very beginning. I was like very clear. And then I did a postgrad and got into media space where advertising sales is something that I did. So, as you rightly said, I did that for TV channels, I did that for websites, for apps like Hotstar. This
Hmm.
is what I did. Uh, Growing up in Delhi or growing up in India, vis-a-vis growing up here, and I know you did talk about collectivism and individualism, and I'll
Yeah.
definitely talk about that because uh, that's a basic difference in the way, and it's not just India and Canada, a lot of different countries, individualism versus collectivism. So what exactly is this?
Hmm.
Collectivism is when you give more importance to the concept of we, you know,
Hmm.
and individualism is about I. Where this individualism come from the very beginning, if you look to Canada or you look at Western countries, from the very beginning, kids are pushed to get out of their house, start working, start doing summer jobs at the age of, I would say, 13, 14, 15.
Hmm.
Whereas back in India, if I talk about myself, till the time I was 28, I just studied. I never did a single summer job.
You never moved out of your house at any point? No?
Oh, come
Okay.
on. In India, we live together.
Yeah,
It's
of course.
shameful. It's shameful if you move out. Then it's like, log kya kahenge? What will people
Exactly.
say? Why is she moving out? It's that
Yeah,
kind of
does she
mindset.
doesn't get along with the parents, or is something wrong within the family? So many questions just come up.
Course, absolutely. Even when you are going out of your city, moving to another city, parents would look for support. If you have relatives, go and live with them. If you have
Yeah.
friends, family friends, go and live with them. Um, Indian parents are very, very protective. And there is this thing of we. It's not about get out of the house, fend for yourself. No, I will take care of whatever it takes to make you successful or make you stand in life. Till the time it's parents, your brothers, your sisters, it's their responsibility to help you get started. Whereas here, it's not the case. So that's how, and that's where, when I came to Canada, my culture kind of held me back in the sense that that's how I would communicate in interviews. I would always talk about we. Even when somebody would ask me about my achievements, I would say, we did that. I was able to achieve my targets thanks to a wonderful team, thanks to the support of this, that. And, I would get rejected. I would never understand why this rejection is happening. And then somebody pointed out to me that, uh, you know, whatever you are talking about we. Maybe you want to come across as humble, but you come across as incapable, not humble. So, yeah, that's the difference of I and we, collectivism and individualism.
Yeah, absolutely. It does play a major, it's like a full fledged cultural shock when you move to a new country. It's so different.
Absolutely.
I just have another question from you to ask you, Nidhi. So you were doing pretty well in your career there. You moved from the TV space to the digital space, and you stayed with the family all this time. And
Yeah.
so what was the that point, or what was the thing that influenced the decision to move? Why would you like to move then?
Sure. So, as you said, that we were doing pretty good. Me, my husband, uh, we had two kids. We were leading a pretty good life, comfortable life. The major pain point was work life balance, and not for me. It was more of my husband. He was working in the finance industry, and he was in one of the companies where he would work Monday to Saturday, and you have a time to go to office, but you really don't have a time when you come back. You don't know whether it's 9, 10 p.m., 11 p.m. uh, in India, there is no concept of overtime pay,
Mm,
or things like that. And Sunday, he would get assignments like homework to do
mhm,
from home. So this was really very uncomfortable for a family with two kids. He couldn't give us any time, basically. So that was one pain point when we started exploring options, that, we better move to a country where there is work life balance, because this is
Hmm.
not how we would like to kind of lead our lives. This is so that was actually the pain point which initiated us getting into doing some research, thinking where can we go and things like that.
But you did work here also after coming here. What differences did you see in the work culture? If you can just talk more about that.
The first thing, which was like, I started working in a non-profit. I went there, I joined, and it has been a week, 5 days. Nobody asked me for my phone number. I was like,
Hmm.
why is nobody asking for my phone number? Because in India, they had your phone number and they would start calling you, you know, as for assignments, for something. Where are you? This, that. Here, it's not the case. Even if you see, there is this power distance, you know, that power distance is there in India, in the sense that's the difference between here and there, is that your boss would behave as if he has certain power over you. So calling you and asking you, where are you, why are you late, or what happened, this and that.
Lot of micromanaging.
Yeah, micromanaging, yes, of course. Like, but here they treat you as if you are an adult, an individual, responsible for your own stuff. So if you are coming
Hmm.
late to work, or if you are not showing up and you are not communicating, like, I don't have a responsibility as your superior to, correct you. You
Yeah.
will face the repercussions, but that repercussions will come from the company, and I do not have a power over you. The way my boss here communicates with me, completely different. Here, my boss is all about we. Even when we are there on a client call, and he would say, Nidhi, do you know why we chose to do that? It's why we chose to do that.
Hmm.
It's not, I'm not throwing you under the bus and saying, oh, I don't know, she did this. No, that's not. It is. Here, it's more, when I work with him, communicate with him, it's more a feeling of a colleague, even when I'm reporting it to him.
Mhm.
So that's a very big difference here. The way they talk to you, the way they behave with you is very, very respectful, very respectable. You feel as if you are being valued. And India, in India, it's more of negative motivation. They push you, and they feel that, oh, maybe it will work as a, maybe now she will feel bad and now she will start working. So
Yeah.
that's the kind of, they'll push you. That's not how.
100%. That's what I love about my superiors at my company, that all that really matters to them, that you are healthy, you are fine, you are happy in this place, and the work is being done. That's it.
And another thing here is that this is a country of specialists, versus India is about generalists. So when I have a boss in India, he would be like, I have gone through this, I have done all of this, so I know it all.
Uh-huh.
So don't, you cannot bullshit me. Whereas here, my boss has a separate function, which is sales, and I have a separate function, which is account management. And we
Mhm.
are both specialists. So he cannot assume, or he cannot, use his power saying, I know it all. It's more about, you are coming here as a specialist, so I depend on you for your advice or knowledge.
I also want to go back again to the time when you really moved. Like 2018, you said you moved with your family.
Yeah.
So, how was your first day, Nidhi? What was going on in your mind?
So first day we were very, very excited. As I said, I was very excited. I did not do a lot of research. I'm more of a just do it kind of a person. Just do it and we'll
Hmm.
see, whatever, So I didn't do a lot of research. I thought, okay, I'll get a job. I was anyways very overconfident. So first day we were very excited. We landed here. I had my aunt. We went to her house. Back in India, you would always kind of, take things for granted. Okay, I have my aunt, I'll go there. Until various years later, when one of my friend told me that she had no support system here, And the day she landed, it was really the coldest day. They didn't have
Mhm.
blankets. They somehow managed, sleeping on the floor using jackets and things like that.
Mhm.
Whereas when I came, I had a bed set up, I had food ready, I had everything. So after moving here, I realized that we need to be grateful in life because there are a lot of other people who probably don't have that support
Yeah.
system. So that's something that probably I realized, I learned, and I'm still learning these things because uh, it's a different culture. It's a different thing altogether. In India, because it's your own country, you have been there for 35, 40 years. It's all comfortable. You know everyone. But it's all about when you don't have anything and you move to a new place. How does that work out?
I remember you also mentioning that your son was asking, "When are we going back?" were you worried that he might not adjust anything?
Absolutely. I shared that with one of my family friends, and I was like, I'm really worried because it has been 6 months, 8 months, and he still sometimes asks, when do we go back? So he looks happy, he's happy here, but then you are like, oh my God, if he doesn't settle, then it's difficult for parents to settle down. Then my cousin, my family friend, he would say, it's okay, give it some time. I think it was more because of he would miss his toys, his house. He was like, I left those things there. What happens to that? What about our house? What happens to that? So he was more concerned about that, and he had, of course, one or two friends that he really wanted to go back and meet up with. But now, oh, within a year, it changed. Like how it's like, I don't want to go. The only thing he wants to go back to India for is food.
Nidhi, now let's just pivot towards your job hunting experience. Back in India, I remember you said you completed your post graduation in communications management. You never applied for a job, and you got your very first job through college placements. And then for the next one, people knew you. They just took your resume, and you were on to the next job. But in Canada, that never happened, even though your resume was on point that you mentioned. So tell us all about your job hunting experience.
So, and I'm gonna say things that probably might help others in the sense that
Mhm.
sometimes we take things for granted and we don't even realize. We talk about that here, you need to have a network. This network thing works everywhere.
Yeah.
You never realize that, but because you were part of a network in your own country.
Mhm.
So, I was in India for 35 years,
Mhm.
okay? For 35 years, I was born there. Even the day when I was born, I had a network.
Yeah.
I had my aunt, I had my aunts, my uncles, my brother, my sister. I did schooling, college, jobs. So I always had a network from the very beginning.
Mhm.
And how does that network help? That network helps you with internal information, with guidance, how things are done.
Yeah.
You don't realize that because you take things for granted because you were born with it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So when I did a bridging program from here, Access Employment, and one day I never realized. I was like, why networking? What is this? Why can't I just apply for a job and get a job? You
Mhm.
know, why do I need to know somebody? I have my credentials and things like that. And one of the instructors asked me, just generally, she said, how would you get a job in your country? And I looked back and I realized I never applied in India online. Never. I never had to do that.
Mhm.
I was part of a college where, the placements happen. So people are coming to you. You are not applying anywhere. They're coming to you. They are ready to interview you. So that's how I got the first one. And after that, every time I would know one or the other person. And then I realized, shoot, I never actually applied online for a job.
Mm.
So I don't even know if I'm applying online, what is that process? I have no idea
Yeah.
because I never applied. And like you're talking about in India or Canada, I never applied online anywhere. So then I started applying for jobs is like so stressful here. The one thing that I really it irritates you is changing your resume every time.
Yeah.
I would I would sit in the morning, I would shortlist 10 jobs. Like today, I'm going to apply for all these 10. And by the time the day ends, you are only done with two or three. That's it. It is so frustrating. It is so very frustrating. And you have to do this because actually you don't know anyone. So this happened, and I kept doing different jobs, starting from Triac, a non-profit organization where I did a role for 3 months. Then I joined a tech startup. Then I was jobless for some
Mhm.
time. Then I did call center work, like the jobs that I never thought I would even look at. I did those kind of roles. So that one, then a logistics company. And after spending from the very beginning, I was comfortable changing my field. I was very fine with
Mhm.
that. But actually, nothing stayed for me for long. Everything was short term, and next job would come in a different industry.
Mhm.
So I could never experience or see growth in any one industry.
Mhm.
That's the time I thought that if I keep changing industries and I keep changing this is not how I'm going to thrive. And I don't see myself growing in these jobs. That's when I decided that now I'm going to take whatever it takes. I have to turn it around. That's it. I don't have to think about how it will not happen. I want to know how it's going to happen, how I will make it happen. That's when I took things in my own hands and I said, whatever it takes, I'm going to do that. People talk about informational interviews, networking, and things like that. It was COVID. So I got onto LinkedIn, send messages to people, 10 to 15 messages, cold messages every single day to industry people. And I was very, very vulnerable. I told them I moved to Canada in 2018. I'm having a hard time. I am not getting a chance to get into my own industry. Can you give me 10 minutes of your time so that uh, I can take some guidance and see how I can break into Canadian media? The response rate was like 20%. Two to three people would reply every single day. People have been so kind to me. Every single day, I would have one or two people on a call with me,
Hmm.
starting from a coordinator to VP sales of Bell and Rogers. I have covered it all. And that's when I connected. And what else I would do is I would attend industry sessions, webinars, so that I'm updated on what's happening in the Canadian media, what's happening in ad tech, what are the issues, what are the things. And that's how I met one of the lady who's working at Pinterest. Uh, and she connected with me, she got on a call with me, she gave me some guidance, helped me connect with one or two more people. And then one fine day, somebody posted this account manager role at Walmart Connect on LinkedIn. She just put my name there, that's it. She
Hmm.
just tagged me. And because I was like almost 99% of my waking hours, I would be on LinkedIn. So I saw that immediately. I reached out to the person who posted that job. We connected on a message on LinkedIn. I sent my resume directly to his email,
Hmm.
and I applied on the company portal as a formality after my interview was fixed. My interview was fixed, and after that applied online. So I mean, if you know somebody, if you network, this is how it happens. You don't have to like the it's you don't have to go through that process that people are talking about.
I think that's what you usually talk about in your videos, Nidhi. You always use this line, which I love, which is let's connect rather than collect. I love that. Would you like to decode that a little more?
Of course. So one thing that I know and I realized, and I built my own process of networking. So one thing, networking is the first word that you hear from everyone, is one advice that everybody will give you. Networking LinkedIn, networking LinkedIn. And I understood the same, that because every day I'm going to connect with 10 people in ad tech, somebody will see my profile and come ask me to come for an interview and will give me a job. That's how it will happen. That's how networking has happened. Within the first 6 months, I had 1,000 LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
connections. 1,000. But those 1,000 people,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know them and they don't know me.
Hmm.
Everybody is connecting with everybody on LinkedIn. Everybody.
Yeah.
So how do you stand out? How will you stand out? The idea of this connection, if your main aim is job, you have to connect and tell your story
Hmm.
for somebody to remember you. I know different, various thousands of brown people who are in Canada. I'm connected to them, they are connected to me. But I would know or personally feel more connected to somebody who took a step and connected with me on a call, whether it's a video call, audio call. That's, you are one step ahead. You are trying to make that connection, and that's how I will remember you.
Absolutely.
So the idea of, we are not collecting contacts. That's what I was doing. I collected those 1,000 connections in
Hmm.
6 months,
Yeah.
but I never leveraged those. How would that person know what is she looking for? Do they know I'm looking for work in ad tech? Do they know that I may want to change my industry?
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't know anything. So why not take a step further, move ahead, and don't just be a virtual connection.
Yeah, let's just not stop on just connecting, like you say in your videos, that personalize and with a view of getting the conversation starting rather than just stopping after connecting. Yeah.
That's how I build a process, which is, the first thing, as I said, I would send that message, and my second message would be like, do you have 10 minutes? I want to connect with you. I would connect, and then I will, within whatever, if they give me 5 minutes or they give me 15 minutes or half an hour, I would tell them my story. I would tell them about what I did in India, and they would tell me, they would give me some understanding how it's different from Canada or whatever. So for example, I wanted to get into sales, but they said, a lot of people told me that sales is all about your connections, right?
Hmm.
People should know you. You don't have those connections. People don't know you right now. So it will be really hard to get into sales like that.
Hmm.
So that's how I said, okay, then I will get into account management role,
Hmm.
which is, I'm not selling anything, but that's how I'm going to build my connections.
Yeah.
I will work on their campaigns, and that's how I'm going to know more people.
Hmm. But was there any eureka interview that taught you a lot, or were there any certain learnings that you would like to share from a very particular interview that hit you?
Uh, Not from an interview, I would say, but sometimes discomfort is really important in life, because I was not getting where I wanted to go. I was not getting an opportunity to get into my field.
Hmm.
I was getting all these jobs of $14, $15, $18, $20. Uh, I I felt dejected. But at the same time, when I came in, I was very overconfident about my interviews. So I always used to think people are, they're wrong if they're not hiring me. Like, they don't know anything. Come on, like, I have it. I know. But then this discomfort, this continuous rejections made me realize probably there is something wrong with the interview.
Hmm.
My resume is getting picked up again and again and again.
Hmm.
But why are these interviews not getting me the role?
Yeah.
And that's when I connected with a friend of mine, and today I call her my cheerleader. That's when I realized that you really want somebody who's there with you at that time, who can guide you. Uh, I was very, very vulnerable with her. I would cry on call
Hmm.
with her. I got her as a friend when I started doing my bridging program. She was there, and then we were like on and off in touch. And then one day I was talking to her, and then she was like, uh, you know, what is it? What are you feeling challenged with? And then after talking to her, I realized there are a lot of mistakes that I'm doing in the interview.
Hmm.
And then I started changing. I have a notebook full of interview questions, answers, interview questions, answers. That was a learning curve from me because I never did that. I never had to do it. And you know what? Back in India, you did your education from there. You come from a very good college. Most of
Yeah.
the time, when they have that impression that she's coming from the best, they don't those interviews are not rigorous. They don't even ask you questions. Plus here it's all about behavioral interviews, which usually doesn't happen in India. So then that's a different thing altogether. At the same time, they they are taking everything on your resume with a pinch of salt, because to them it's like it's a different language altogether, as if I'm talking in an Indian language. They don't understand anything. Okay, this college, okay. Whereas in India, I had this experience of everybody, oh, you're from this college. Wow. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it's like, communicating your value becomes a challenge to the interviewer.
Exactly.
It's so difficult. It becomes very difficult to tell them that your abilities, or because sometimes, like you said, a certain name on your resume does the work for you. The interview is just a formality, but
Exactly.
here it's not the case.
Yeah. But now when you are part of the system, today I'm at Walmart Connect. Everybody knows Walmart from whatever, right? From decades, right? Now if I want to talk to somebody, I don't think I'll have to do that selling, the hard selling. I'm this, I'm that, because that name is going to work for me.
Yeah.
And that's what happens on LinkedIn as well. Initially, when I used to send LinkedIn connections, I would get a 20% rate of return,
Mhm.
whereas now that rate of return is 80%.
Wow.
So now I'm part of the system. Now I'm that part of the network. Now people want to network with you because you are there.
Let's talk about culture now. So do you make that conscious effort of instilling your own culture in them?
Right now, I chose this day and time to do this because my children have gone to Hindi class.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. As immigrants,
Mhm.
we want to come and we want to fit in.
Mhm.
Okay. But while fitting in, it's not necessary that you unlearn everything and try to be like what others are,
Yeah.
because then you are actually not adding value.
Mhm.
It's not that West has everything good and positive and East has nothing. East has a lot of potential. That diversity of cultures, diversity of workforce, diversity of thinking, of minds, the way you think, the way your thought process, that's really important. And if I'm not bringing my 100% self to work,
Mhm.
that's a loss to you, not to me.
Mm.
I'm losing my culture. I'm losing uh, my thought process. I don't want to think like India. Why? We have a lot of good things. Because when you have dearth, and India, people would look at India a long time back like one of the poor countries, or one of the countries where, they don't have technology, they don't have things. Look at them now.
Yeah.
Walmart has their tech support in India.
Yeah.
Lot of countries have their tech support in India
Mhm.
because India did turn it around. We are considered to be the smartest of the people. So if I am not bringing my 100% and adding that, then it's a loss for everyone. It's not just a loss for me, or it's not just a loss for the company. It's for both of us.
Mhm.
We need to bring our entire selves to work. And I think a lot of companies are kind of talking about it, but we are still figuring out the ways how to make it happen, because it's a very tricky thing to do.
Yeah, things are changing, but I think there's still a long way to go.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I also wanted to ask you about, like setting boundaries. Have you seen any differences in setting boundaries, maybe in the work that you have done in India and then here, and any kind of behavioral changes that you had with your superiors? Anything that have you seen any differences in that?
Again, it's a cultural difference.
Hmm.
In India, when you talk about you need help,
Hmm.
oh, it's a weakness.
Hmm.
Then suddenly you will, and that's when, because people interpret it like that, you will never be comfortable talking about it.
Hmm.
You will never know when or how to share these things.
Hmm.
Think about mental health.
Hmm.
In India, if you talk about I'm going to a psychologist, I'm going to therapies, people will be like, really? What
Hmm.
happened?
Hmm.
She has some problem or something like that. People in India, there is this thing of everybody is into everybody's business a little
Hmm.
too much, right? Whereas on the other side here, I also see that because everybody has this individualistic thing that I have to fend for myself,
Hmm.
there is that people are welcome to help you, but at the same time, sometimes you crave that belongingness. I really, so in India, if you work in a team, you become friends over time. You exchange your phone number, you chit chat, and this and that, and they become your support system. Here, that relationship is very formal.
Hmm.
From you outside the house to get into somebody's house, it will take years. In
Yeah.
India, I moved to a new neighborhood. On the second day, I will be invited to a neighbor's house.
Yeah.
So I know that it is not considered a weakness talking about asking for help, talking about mental health, talking about challenges. It is encouraged here. But at the same time, one thing that India has good is that we are there for each other.
Hmm. I love that.
Today, when I moved here, I had two kids. My youngest was 11 months. I needed daycare facility for her.
Hmm.
If if in India and if it's like from 6 to 6:15, I had to pick her up at 6 p.m. and if I would reach by 6:15, um, it's not good. They would tell me, they would pinpoint that this is not going to work out. Whereas in India, people will give you that support. Or I can definitely call my neighbor and say, hey, I'm getting late. Can you go and pick my child? Which is not here. Now I'm in my own house, where earlier I was on a rent. It took me 3 years to know my neighbor's name. I didn't know their name. I didn't know their name. They knew me by face. I knew them by face. We said, hello, how are you? That's it. Beyond that, and you like that. Oh my God, I don't know them. They're smiling at me saying, hello, how are you? But unfortunately, there is nothing beyond that. Hello, how are you? That's it. That's a default. How are you? I'm fine. That's it.
Yeah.
That's a default. If there is this assimilation of Indian culture of, I would say, Atithi Devo Bhava,
Yeah.
where we consider that people are guests, we welcome them
Yeah.
with open heart and open minds. A lot of, not everything, but a lot of issues of loneliness, of mental health might get solved or might get addressed
Hmm.
before becoming too big.
Absolutely. I also lived in the same house for 2 years, and I didn't know who my neighbors were. I never saw them. I never even chit chatted with them. We never, go to each other's houses, which is pretty common in India. Whenever you move to a new building or a new apartment or anything, the very same weekend, you will be just chilling with them.
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of difference, and that's why I think that's something that you have learned in India of being welcoming. If you
Hmm.
bring a little bit of that culture here, it will be very good.
I want to bring that boundary, topic to the house also. Like, if I will ever say to my father that I do not like that you open my mail and it's like invading my privacy, he might say that you have a private room in this house because I paid for it. so, so Nidhi, how will you feel if your children at any point will say this and come to you? Because here it's pretty common, in the culture here, have these conversations in the house. How will you feel about that?
Again, that's a power distance, right? So you, as parents in India, as parents, you have certain power over your children, whereas
Mhm,
here it's not like that. It's like my child is an individual. He can say, or he can have his own opinion, and
mhm.
that's what they encourage you to do here. Whereas in India, why as a parent I should be asking your opinion? You don't know
Yeah,
anything. Come on.
yeah.
That's how it happens. In India, I remember every time we had some family function and I didn't want to go, my father would be like, this is so shameful that I, as a head of the family, can't even bring the entire family together for one function. And I was like, but why are you even taking it to that? Because
Yeah.
that's how the Indian culture is. People invite you, they want your kids to be with you because they want to see if the kids are part of the family and they respect. There is this respect thing. It's a saying like, just because you are elder to me, I need to respect you. Whereas
Yeah.
here, if you are right, I will respect you. But if you are wrong, whatever age you are at, I'm not supposed to follow you.
Yeah. Again, that collectivistic culture comes in, right? In India, like I, being the head of the family, cannot bring everybody together to a certain occasion. But here, if nobody is willing to go, it's fine. They don't want to go, they're not in a mood, it's fine.
It's fine because he's a different individual. And it's more about we respect their opinions, we respect how they feel about it, and things like that.
Is there something that you tried for the first time here in Canada and you fell in love with that thing?
Absolutely. I'm doing these videos and I'm a very camera shy person.
Mhm,
But at the same time, I have a very, very strong willpower. If I want to try something, I'm not the person who will strategize for months and then want to make it perfect.
mhm,
I'm somebody who would want to, okay, try it out. We'll make it perfect. It's okay. It will happen. But now I want to go with it. So once I started doing those videos, it's a complete, I see, transformation. Not, I don't give too much of importance to the video quality, this, that. No, I give a lot of importance to what I say and what I
mhm,
talk. What are the giveaways? What are the takeaways that my video has?
mhm,
That's important to me. What's here is important to me. What's there, the quality. People would say, I had people who gave me feedback and they were like, no, you should be dressed up in a jacket, a suit. I said, like, come on, forget about it. It's not about how I dress. It's all about what I say. That brought about a lot of transformation in me because I was not a very camera friendly person. For the last 15 years, I had a mobile phone. Even if somebody checks my phone, they would not even find 15 selfies because I'm not a very selfie person. I'm not a very camera friendly, picture friendly person. But then I said that, why? I mean, I'm so comfortable, so confident when you talk to me. Why can't I do that to a camera? And I started doing that. Why it's transforming? Because people started liking what I talk about. People started valuing what I had to say from all my mistakes. And I don't put myself across as an expert. No, I'm somebody who made a lot of mistakes, and I want people to hear them out and make sure they don't do the same. And then now I'm in a position where people who don't even know me personally, are not connected to me, they are sending people my way for help.
mhm,
That's how I feel the power, that from somebody who was struggling and struggled for 3 years,
mhm.
now I have that power to support somebody else. This is a transformation, not something that I'm earning more money or things like that, but to be able to give back what I got, and I'm doing this because I got a lot of help from lot of people, from everyone who even gave me 5 minutes of their time, to my cheerleader who spent hours with me. So that is one thing I tried and I fell in love with it.
Awesome. I'm glad you did because it's helping a lot of newcomers and existing immigrants as well. So now, Nidhi, we are getting to the final segment of the podcast. I call it the final MTA talk. I'm going to ask a couple of questions. You can answer them in one word or a sentence or howsoever you feel like. The idea is just to know more about you.
Sure.
What's something that you miss the most about Delhi?
Food.
So, what are any two topics that you can talk about for hours?
Networking, intercultural competence, how to turn things around, how to get what you really want to get, your personal branding. Yeah.
Okay. Is there something that you would like to change about yourself?
I don't know. I'm in a very happy space at this point in time. I don't think I need to change anything. No, nothing that comes to my mind at this point of time.
So, pertaining to that, what is the one thing that you are most grateful for?
I think people, very grateful to people. It's a here LinkedIn and connecting with people, and people give their time to you to talk about something that will benefit you and not them. It fascinates me. I could never imagine this in India.
Okay. So, what is your favorite season and why is it?
Summers. Here, it has to be summers.
Really? I thought you'll say winters because usually the people who come from India, they say winters.
Summers because you can go out, you are all the time out. If there is something that you get in scarcity, the value goes up. Anything which is limited, the limited edition always is valued more. So summers here are limited edition.
So if you could create one law that everyone has to follow, what would it be?
Love your neighbor. Connect with them, be with them. Because in last so why I say that, if I can elaborate.
Sure.
Why I say that, I did a call center job where some breach, security breach happened, and people's data was compromised and things like that. I had elder people from US and Canada with me on calls, and they would say, I cannot get on the internet. My son is in a different city. My grandson is in a different city. Because of COVID, they cannot come and meet you. Even if I want to avail your services, I don't know how to get it done because I can't get on the internet. And I was like, if it was in India, I would call my neighbor and get it done. But because it's a very individualistic society, sometimes even asking for help is okay, but people are not comfortable doing that. That's what I feel. Then I really feel for them that this is something I want to get from India, that culture here.
Okay. So finally, describe Canada in one word or a sentence.
Home.
Okay. So on that note, Nidhi, those are all my questions. Thank you so much for being on the podcast and adding value to my listeners.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And thank you so much. That's what I have to say.
Hey, listener, thank you for making it to the end. I highly, highly appreciate you listening the podcast. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't as yet, and please share with your friends or anybody you think would like it. And like I always say, we encourage you to follow your heart, but also us on Instagram. The handle is mythicaccent. You can also leave us a review or write to us at hello@mythicaccent.com. So stay tuned and let's continue knowing each other beneath the accent.